Hey everybody, it is Tuesday night, the first week of March, and we're super excited to be back with you. We missed you last week, so I just wanted to take a minute and thank Krista for filling in for us. I love that I have people on our team that we can depend on for doing for filling in for when we're traveling and we're doing some fun stuff. We actually got a chance to go and meet some new team members that were in Missouri and Illinois last week, and that was fantastic. February ended super, super strong for us, which everybody knows. That was super fantastic. So I'm excited to be here and allow you guys to be able to learn from Curtis. He is one amazing guy, and I am really, really thankful for him, and I feel really special, and I feel like our team is special to be able to have this opportunity. So Curtis is a 28-year veteran or thereabouts in the network marketing profession. Him and Lisa are trainers, and they are sought after from people all over the world, and they're actually in Hong Kong right now. So I am super excited to hear what Curtis has to say tonight, so I'm just going to let you take it away, Curtis.
Thanks so much, girl. First of all, I want to congratulate the Super Stud stars of Broome and Mark for being Blue Diamond. Awesome. On this side, we were, amongst ourselves, Lisa, myself, and Colin, the gang. We were kind of, sit around and kind of cheering for you. Congratulations. And it was kind of funny, guys, when we first connected before we turned on the Hangout. I said, so you're finally getting to a point where you really think it's possible to make more than $3,000 a month in the business? And of course, we all started laughing because everybody knows Romy's story, Romy and Mark's story. When they first got started, it was like, well, I can't believe any of these things these people say about making these, 10 and 15 and 20 and 30 and then more amazing incomes a month. That's just ridiculous. If I can make $3,000 a month, I'd be happy. So the good news is that, Romy, it seems like you guys, your possibilities have gotten so much bigger. See, that's a wonderful thing. And that's great for all the new folks, the people you run around in Missouri with or anywhere else. It's wonderful to see because you guys are the epitome of what our profession is supposed to be, which is servant leadership. And by servant leadership, it means that there were those who coached and mentored you so that you could expand. You may have had a very limited view of what's possible, which is fine. I mean, that's okay. In fact, it's really normal and it's natural, and so that's where you're supposed to start probably. I think that's the human condition, the way things are. And over time, you've now been able to see that, in your 3.5 going on 4 years now, which is not an extraordinary amount of time, and this is your first venture really into this world, and it shows, though, that if people want to take a look at a great example to follow with you guys, this was your first venture into the profession. You first found a really good company, which, as I'd said, I talked to some people, I think it was last week, and I said, here's one of the most important things as you make your selections is you want to look for good products, but that should not be the most important reason. You want to look for a good company that you are confident in, that not when they're in the good times they're okay, but when it's difficult or they have big problems or a challenge or something really significantly negative happens, there's just whatever it may be, that there's that experience, commitment, fortitude, courage, and strength at the corporate level that they're going to, like pit bulls on a bone, they're going to fight through it no matter what. And then most importantly, you have to make sure you're in the right team. And because if you think this is a business you're going to do on your own, you're going to fail. I did. When I started the first 2 years, I failed miserably because I thought I was smarter than everybody. So I thought, I'm pretty cool. There's got to be a smarter way to do it than these silly little lessons they give me. They sound so simple. It's just ridiculous. There's got to be more to it than that. So I'm so smart, I'll figure that out and do it a better way. And I flop like a fish out of water. And so those are really the things. If you find a great product, great, check that off, but that shouldn't be your determining factor. If you find a really great company, check that off. I mean, it should be a part of it, absolutely, but that's really not the trigger that should flip you into saying, okay, I'm ready to go flat out. It should be, am I with the right team, and do I believe that I have access, maybe not personally one-on-one at the kitchen table, but am I in an environment where I have leadership and coaching and mentoring that I can connect with. And there are people who are great, great team leaders, but their style is just different, and it may not be something you blend with. And so are you with people that you feel really good about, you're very confident in, you feel comfortable with, and you can connect with them? And if that's the case, that's it. You know, so you check off the product pretty quick, because there are tons of companies that have great product. You can check off the company pretty quick. There are lots of companies run by people with great commitment, dedication, heart, and experience. The question is, are you with a team environment? And so you guys had obviously a great team environment, or you found a way to make it great for you. But what's really interesting is watching how successful you have become because you created that for yourself. Because you guys, we all need coaches. You know, Michael Jordan is the world's, you know, elite, you know, best basketball player in the world, won all those championships because he wasn't on the court by himself, and he had a great coach in Phil Jackson. Jackson at that point in his life was too old, couldn't play basketball, but his mind was brilliant, and without great coaching, Jordan never would have won 6 championships. So even the elite athletes know that the importance of teamwork and coaching. And so that's what I want to talk about real quick. In fact, there was something that Lisa had mentioned. It was a training that she had seen online by a guy in our profession. Tim Edwards is well known. He does a lot of coaching, just coaching and mentoring and training, you know, online and through a variety of mediums. He's had an extraordinarily successful career in his past in Nu Skin, and still, you know, has a great team there, but now expands his time across the industry and is a great giver of knowledge and information and education. And he worded a 3-step approach to a new person. What is the most effective way to get started? And there's a lot of things that we've also talked about. And he breaks it down to a 3-letter acronym called PCA. And I'll want to give Tim full credit for that. I'm not this smart. I didn't figure this out. But before I dig into that, I want to mention one thing you and I talked about. And for everybody watching on this team, you may be looking to Romy and Mark and seeing them, you know, as diamonds and now blue diamonds. Oh my gosh, what a great vision of extraordinary success in our company. Gee, I wonder if I could do that. And yet I want to share with you the humility and the integrity and the character of these people who are part of your leadership, the team. In that, just again, before we started, I don't mean that you, and I'll never share things that are really, really secret, Romy, but it was a wonderful experience for me. I just smiled and grinned when she talked about the fact that she really had thought that you know, her, not attitude, but her inspiration and her passion and all that was really, really great and strong until, you know, like the little kid on Christmas, they hit this next rank and woke up that next morning on Monday and you know, felt like 6 years old again. It was that just pure, sincere, honest, just magnificent childlike enthusiasm, with like a kid with a new thing, going, oh my gosh, because, as she said, the realization at this level of rank and result is the realization that you are coaching and helping others grow. You know, you've got a ranking system for a reason. It allows people to have something next to shoot for, so that hopefully they can lay out a plan and say, well, here's where I am. I know here's what the next rank requires. So let me jot down, here are the requirements I need to fulfill. It kind of gives me partial roadmap. The second thing is that it validates the effort you have put in when you achieve that next rank. And when you're just getting started, those first ones are usually pretty small and simple. It's not about life-changing income. It's about getting into that process and that habit of, here's where I am, what's my next step? But then putting all of that in a picture of what is my overall view, and we hear about things like dreams and goals, and those are all important. You know, being a dreamer, a big dreamer, I think is one of the foundational things that all successful people have. Somewhere they've got that moment where in those moments of silence, instead of just nothing, there are things going on in their head. But I think dreams are let me just say, let me do this. It's not so much the word you pick, it's what in your heart you think the word means to you. So for me, dreaming is a great thing, but it seems a little less substantive, but it's a great capability. You need to empower a dream a bit more. And when we talk about goals, those should be very specific, identified, clear, precision steps. Those are specific targets with detailed specificity that I am going for in a certain period of time, based on the resources I have and the resources I know that I've needed, and I put them together, and now I'm charging at that goal. That's that step on the ladder, and that's almost a little sterile sometimes. So goals are great because it's the specificity of the path, but it's like the steps on a ladder. It's not necessarily emotionally empowering. And then there's the word that I like to use, which is vision. And the way I use it, the way I mean that, is that a vision is something that is substantive and it is impassioning. And what I mean by that is, gee, I'd like to have a house on the beach, or I'd like to have the beach house, and I'd like to have the mountain, kinds of things, those bigger things. But my question is, have you rooted that in your being to the point that you can close your eyes and it's not see it, it's you can smell it and you can feel it. In other words, I can literally smell myself. I can smell it. I know exactly what it smells like on that beach with the sand in my toes and my beach house behind me and the waves rolling onto the pristine beach in front of me. And if I close my eyes, I can feel the breeze on my skin. I can feel the goosebumps on my arms as the breeze, just morning breeze, wafts over me. I'm in that mountain home looking out at that big window across the mountain, the mountainscape with all the fresh snow, and I can smell the inside of my home while I'm, the coffee is preparing in the morning to spend my day because I've got this control of my life. To me, that's the vision. It's that kind of a thing. It's the specificity of a goal with the passion, the impassioning, empowering things of a dream put together so that it's emotionally moving. Because I think without that, there's no way to get to the big. Now, initially, those aren't the visions you'll have. Lisa's done trainings where some cases the best thing for brand new people is not that vision of greatness, because Romy will tell you her story that when she first got started, she believed all those big incomes and things were fluff and smoke and mirrors and poof, and that's just somebody telling a story, and that's ridiculous because she's very upfront. If I could make $2,000 or $3,000 a month, that would have been the limit of my imagination. It would have been great because it would have truly helped us where we were in life, and that would be fine. But that sounds reasonable. All this other stuff sounds ridiculous. Now at Blue Diamond and at the income level they no longer measure it by their income. That childlike sensation is looking around and seeing, because what we've talked about with them before privately is they've looked within their comp plan and they understand the model, and their model is many ranks lower but enough ranks up that's their building block level. So they're Blue Diamond because they no longer focused on going from Diamond to Blue Diamond. They're Blue Diamond because within the team they say, let's get everybody to go here, whatever that rank is. Let's go rank 3. Let's go gold, or let's go bronze, or let's go ruby, or whatever it is, because that's how you get to those big ranks. It's that rank level that it's maybe a couple of steps up from brand new. So you've accomplished enough that there's you and a core little group of people. You don't have this giant team. You don't have this big income. It's just this thing where you suddenly realize, oh my gosh, this is really possible. It's that possibility stage. And those above you realize that their future is about helping you build yourself to that level. And the future is then you and they together helping all those newer members of your team build themselves to that level. And I say build themselves because nobody, people don't do this for you, and nor should they, but they are there to do it with you. And so when you put all this together, if you've got the right product, you've got the right confidence in the team, and then you need to go into some action. And those are the three, the PCA that Tim talks about: passion, confidence, and action. And so let's talk about that for a second, because here's how you can simply break it down. And we talked about this, I think, last week a little, or we have in the last weeks, because the schedule's been so crazy. At least I've been over here in Hong Kong, and I was originally going to be heading back to the States about this time of the year, and I'm not. It won't be heading back till sometime April or May or stuff, because of stuff going on back there. But because our projects over here are getting really nutty and crazy, so it's kind of been blending, all the things we've kind of talked about. But let me start here. Many people have a natural tendency to say, I want to learn everything or be confident in everything before I get started. And what that is, that they're making it about themselves. And these are things we've talked about. So if you go back through all the Romy's Rockstars hangouts and go back to the beginning, go back to some of the very early things listed in the community here, And there are areas where you can, in Facebook sections and stuff, where you can go access some of the stuff. I think Romy and Colin have worked together to kind of catalog some of that, and if not, they're certainly working on it. And you go back to some of the things we've talked about, where we talk about asking 3 questions and having conversations, not doing presentations. It's not about you, it's about them. I try and point people at information. They say, no, I had someone yesterday in a training, actually in the question thing, say, but no, what happens when people say no, but you're supposed to be the one convincing me? And I say, well, 2 things. First of all, I don't ever convince anybody at all, ever. So I'm not the one who's supposed to be convincing, because I don't do it. And I don't want anybody who needs to be convinced. I want people who are looking and they want to feel comfortable with their decision. So those are some of the perspectives, but here's what it is. I believe when someone's brand new, the more knowledge they want to have before they get into action, it's a guarantee for failure. And so let's break down, and I'll share with you why. Let's break down what Tim had said when he talked about his PCA approach to being successful in the business from a new starting point. I had a mentor years and years and years ago say that, Curtis, the reality is, and where I struggled my first 2 years, is I thought great success is hard work, period. There is no easy way to have success. It is not complicated, though, in network marketing. It's actually very simple. So it is the simple, it is believing in the simple and committing to the simple process. And that's one of the hardest things to overcome for many people, and it was for me. I almost didn't overcome it, because we all believe that anything that creates great results must be complicated, or should be complicated, or shouldn't be kindergarten, Lego building blocks simple. We all agree that makes sense, that it's hard work, because that makes sense, but it surely can't be simple, and that's just not the truth. And here's why. My mentor a long time ago said, Curtis, network marketing done properly almost perfectly aligns with natural human behavior from the time you're born till the time you die. In essence, the human experience. Starting out as an infant, not being able to survive on your own or care for yourself, and needing to go have that parenting, that surrounded by the village, going through that process of growth until you can do basic things on your own. You can basically feed and clothe yourself. Get dressed in the morning and get a bowl of cereal type thing, and then you go on and gain more expertise until one day you're able to actually have a life where you live independently on your own. Those kids who graduated college, moved out, they're now living their life to then, they grow and find that life partner. Then they have children, become parents, and they grow on and they start imparting to the kids all the things important to them. That's life. And the way in which we learn in those environments is some of the most important things. They've said that by the age of 85%, you have attained 85%, if you will, of the knowledge that you're going to have in your life of all the things. Gee, that's a doorknob. Here's how you turn it. Here's how you walk. Here's how you just that type thing. Then there's the educational process in life, which you never stop, and that's all the stuff we gain afterward. But that a significant amount of just the general knowledge of being a human being you've learned by the age of 5 or 6. And how did that happen? Did you sit there and become completely fluent in a language before you open your mouth to utter the first word? No, you just kind of babbled your way to being fluent. You stumbled and bumbled and crawled and tripped and failed your way to being able to walk without even thought. And so that's what network marketing is supposed to be. But in order to do that, you got to get yourself out of the way. One, you need a really powerful vision that empowers you of where you're going, or you need a very powerful vision of where you need to escape from. Sometimes that's better. When you're first starting, what are the pains in my life? I've reached a point where I can no longer tolerate that where I am in my life, I am not able to provide for my family, my spouse, and my kids what I want, nor am I able to care for my parents the way I choose. I can no longer tolerate that. Sometimes that's a better vision. That negative, I wish to separate myself from, because when you're first getting started and you don't yet have that complete realization of the truth that there is no limit to the possibility where Romy and Mark have reached right now. Instead, they started with the limiting belief of, I don't think all that stuff's real. I think it's a bunch of poofy stuff, but here's what I need to do. And their desire to want to just get away from some of the negative stresses they had empowered them to get to the first step, and the accomplishing of the first step is what gave them the confidence they could go through a billion steps. And all of a sudden the vision turned. So their absolute commitment to this vision of no longer wanting to tolerate this type of a life or these limitations. As that drove them, following simple processes, then they started to accomplish enough that suddenly, naturally, their vision turned to the unlimited possibilities. Well, it turned to where maybe there's still my limit. I still got this limit. Maybe it's bigger than I thought. So okay, let me go bigger. To where now they, in conversation with them, they realize there is no limit. Their only limit will be what they set on themselves. And so maybe that's what you do. Maybe those visions you have are what, but why? Because when you don't have just a skill level yet, you just don't have enough experience, you haven't done it. So of course you're going to stumble and flop. And imagine the infant trying to learn to walk. That's exactly what every brand new network marketer goes through. And look at how relentlessly they continue. It's like it's instinctively, it's the human instinct. They can fall down, they can, bang their head on the table and get a cut and start screaming their head off, but they don't stop. They just, it's the human instinct to relentlessly attack until finally they can stand and walk and stumble and wobble until they, they're a kid in a youth soccer league at 6 or 7, but walking is not the problem. So you need to understand that's who you are if you're new. There's no way to avoid it. I don't care how old you are. I don't care what your other experiences in life have been. That's where you are. If you aren't willing to step up and realize that's what it is, then you're going to really hobble yourself. So that if you realize that I'm willing to go through this learning experience, then do it naturally. Kids don't wait and study walking and then just stand up and are perfect walkers. They just engage in the process of stumbling and flailing and flopping. And so that came back to then, when you put all that foundation in place, then it comes back to what Mark Edwards had said when he talked about PCA, and it was a brilliant video and a brilliant quick conversation. PCA is this: you first of all have to be passionate. And so if you've identified those things when you selected your company, then use those things. In other words, you truly have to be passionate about your product. You do not have to be a product expert. You have to be passionate about what the product has truly done for you. That's not a scientific study. That's a personal experience, and that's an embedding. It's a powerful grounding experience. You have to be passionate about what you have seen the products do for others, products or services. And the reason is there are just too many companies out there that have products or services that will create that within you. They'll create that great result. That will create that passion. And if you don't have it, then go find another company. Go find a better product or something. But doTERRA has those. That's why they have such. We talked about retention. Your numbers as a company, the retention numbers are so strong in ongoing continued consumption because the products are great products. So be passionate. Do not sit there and study. Know that there is an information source somewhere you can point people to. And that's what happened. One of the conversations I was having yesterday, and somebody in the question session said, well, what when somebody says, hey, you're supposed to convince me? No, I'm not supposed to convince you. I'm not here to convince you of anything. I don't care if you say yes or no. I don't care what you choose to do. I care enough about you. I want to give you access in the most professional and the most exact and precise way. I want to give you access to the right information so that you can make a decision that's good for you. I didn't need to see all the science. I saw enough, and I listened to the stories of people, and that was enough for me. And now that I've experienced the products, I have a passion for them because I know they work. I don't know how they work. I don't care how they work. But that's me. If you need to know how they work, I respect that. Here's information, and if you're not willing to take the time to go through it, I'm not here to convince you. Because I'm so passionate about my product, I don't have to, because I'm not looking to convince anybody. I don't want anybody who needs convincing. I want people who have learned and decided, who have chosen. So we gave them some of that stuff. If you're passionate, that will happen. Your passion will come through. You don't have to be an expert of the product. Be passionate about the result you've gotten with the product and the stories you've heard. So engage. Go listen to the stories and go hang around the people, whether it's on Hangouts or the webinars or product trainings or recorded information, or go read the stuff, not the science stuff, but just go read all the stuff that anecdotally talks about your product, but be passionate about your product. That can happen instantaneously within a few days. In fact, by the time you've enrolled, you probably had that experience because probably part of your decision to join the business was you tried the product and you said, wow, this is awesome stuff. I love it. So take that passion and lead with that passion on the product, because the real power of building your business is you're looking for team members and customers. Well, the reality is most people shouldn't be a team member, but if you got that passionate belief, at least in your heart, everybody should be a customer. but don't shove it down their throat. Expose them to your passion. Don't overwhelm them with your pushiness. Expose them to the passion of the results you've achieved and the results you've seen in others, and share with them a way that they could access that information and experience that which has caused you to be so passionate, to see if choosing the product's good for them. Because the idea is everybody should be using your product, and then some of them might also choose to be team members, but that's their choice as well. So lead with passion about your product. If you have passion for your product, the only second thing you need is confidence in the team. You need confidence in the corporate team, but most importantly, you need confidence now in the team you've selected. Because my mentor a long time ago said, Curtis, that being an expert is not being the one who knows. That's just stupid. Being an expert is having the person who knows phone number. That's it. You're an expert now. Well, here, I have the answer to every single one of those questions. Hang on just a second. Ding, 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 ding. Here, talk to them. That is being the expert. Now, being an accomplished expert might be getting to a point where you could answer those questions without calling that expert. But that's simply transfer of knowledge. That's transference of accomplishment of knowledge or acquisition of knowledge. But you're the expert the minute you know the person who's got all the answers. They just need to be standing next to you all the time. Well, that's not possible, so that's why you come to Hangouts like this, and that's why you go back to previous recorded trainings, and that's why you've got webinars, and you've got videos, and you've got websites, and you've got three-way calls, and you've got conference calls. All of those things are access to the experts, so you need to understand, stop waiting to learn anything yourself. Engage in the process by having confidence in the team around you. And your only job then is to, A, go into action. And what do? Put people in front of the experts using your passion for the product, sharing with them the overwhelming confidence and the faith that you have in the team of people who are helping you as a newbie learn. But don't look to me. I'm coming to you because I care about you so much. Rather than going slow, I wanted to come to you immediately, so that rather than waiting until one day I am one of those highly accomplished, high-earning experts and then coming to you. How selfish is that? I'd love, if you see what I see, I'd love for you to join me in the process at the same time, and let's go walk the path together. In fact, and let's bring dozens. In fact, let's bring hundreds. In fact, if we can, let's bring thousands of brand newbies. Let's all go together, so that when we finally get there, and we finally reach that stage of some pretty accomplished capability, we and thousands that we brought with us all got there at the same time. How much more caring of others and being a servant to others could that be? How could you be so arrogantly, blatantly, obnoxiously selfish to think, I need to know it all before I speak to anybody? No, you don't. What, do you think it's about you? How self-centered and obnoxiously self-serving. It's not about you. You don't need to look smart. You don't need to be afraid. In fact, you don't have to be embarrassed. Why would you be embarrassed about saying, I'm new, I'm not an expert in this? That's not your purpose, to be the expert. Your purpose is to engage, go into action, and let the natural human condition take over. How do you learn to speak? You hang out with fluent speakers. How do you learn to walk? You hang out with people who walk. And as a child, your desire is, I want to be like them. What do? You put people in front of the experts on your team because you're already the expert. I have the answer to every single question. I just can't give it to you myself, but I have the phone number of the person who can, or I have the link to all the answers to those questions, and I have the DVD that'll answer those questions, and I have this brochure that can answer some of those questions. And if all that doesn't work, then I do have some team members that we can introduce you to when you come down to the local meeting on Tuesday or the training on Saturday. And your presence, your being in their presence. So do you have passion for your product? Lead with that. Do you have confidence in the team that is around you? Then you're already the expert. The second you signed up, you're the expert. And don't say, well, but I feel bad about bothering them. Stop. If you go to an event and when you have an opportunity, then go up and meet Romy and Mark personally, and what you'll realize instantly, you aren't bothering them. They'd feel horrible if you didn't give them the opportunity to serve you. That's their desire, is to be bothered. Mark is finally walking away because they can from what he'd done for so many years, and he and I kept conversation. We talked about that. You know, he's still got some of this fear. Gosh, when you've done something for that long, it's a part of who you are, and he's closing a chapter because of their desire as a team, as a couple team, to be able to greater serve you. You aren't bothering them. That's their whole desire. They weren't happy to be Blue Diamond because their check got bigger. Blue Diamond says to them, you have helped more people. Don't stop. And so that's the key. And here's the thing. Everybody will ask specifics. So I know you'll have people come up and say, and ask and expect things of you. Don't allow it. Finally, accept the control that your job is not to be the expert until one day you simply wake up and realize you are. That's how it works. Kids don't walk till they do, and then one day they become world-class athletes or they become marathon runners. Kids don't speak until they do. They just wake up one day and realize, wow, I'm articulate and fluent. I can communicate with anybody at any level in this language. Because why? Well, I'm 56 years old. You know, I've just been hanging around a while. Learned a lot of words by listening to other people who were smarter than me and going, I have no idea what they just said, and looking it up. You know, but I accomplished a good level a long time ago. But when I was 2, I was a babbling fool who couldn't communicate a thought. You know, and so that's what I share with all of you. If you'll do that, and then take these systems. You need to go through these systems, go back through these trainings, and I realize at some point we're going to probably have to start come back and revisit because there is so much training library. I know you and Colin are trying to catalog it, and it may already be there, but if you've got it cataloged pretty specifically, that can help. But otherwise, there's so much stuff people have to go back over. You know, my gosh, we've been doing this probably, I don't know how long, months and months, or maybe a year, who knows. There are just so many of them that could be tough. So maybe we need to go full circle and come back and start talking about hot market system and how you move that initial product, create that initial customer base, and using that, you know, simple texting method, using that to talk about 3 questions. Every once in a while, it's good to allude back to those things. But for those on this team, if you guys are Blue Diamond, you have more new people coming to the team because the team has expanded. You have more new people joining your team every day than you ever have before in your history. And for those of you on the team who are listening in, what I will tell you is, they are filled with childlike enthusiasm because they've accomplished a new level. They're filled with childlike enthusiasm because they know that means they've helped so many. And in their moments of quiet time, they're overwhelmed by the ominous sense of overwhelming greater responsibility because there are so many more new people, and they're the type who have this sense that we're responsible for everybody. Now they realize, Romeo and Mark understand they can't get to all the new people anymore. So what they have to have done, hopefully, is created an environment where there are many of you who are chasing on their heels. As they've gone to Blue, there are many of you at or approaching Diamond. There are those of you who are approaching various levels, Emeralds or whatever, on the path up. So it's not just them anymore. It's them and a lot of folks. But if they have what I can tell you without having, you know, obviously I see it in Cresta, but I haven't met all the leadership. But I guarantee you, because they say the fish stinks from the head or you lead from the front. You know, the stinky analogy may not be best. So let's just say, but it's a wonderful smell in this case. In the team, usually when you have a leadership point, you know, like Romeo and Mark, who have accomplished this level the way they are, they've gotten to that level by developing a team that is a reflection of who they are. Because who they are is what then created those who followed them, and that has now permeated the team. And so what you have is you have an entire massive group of servant leadership, not self-centered and self-gratified and self-congratulating leadership as they accomplish ranks by standing on your head, but instead they're trying to crawl deeper and deeper into the hole and to be at the bottom, holding the whole thing up. And that's what great servant leaders are. They're not the top of the pyramid. They're the bottom. They're the bottom, whatever that is. They're the bottom. They're down here and they're holding the whole thing up. So for all of you who are new, stop it. It's not about you. Don't become proficient at anything except being passionate about your product, having confidence in the expertise that is available at your fingertips. You are an expert. You are a complete, absolute, multi-million-dollar earning, multi-year expert right now because you have side-by-side access to them. And then go into action and understand that your action is not to get anybody, convince anybody, sell anybody, or create or make a result happen. Your action is to truly open-hearted, wishing a desire to serve others by giving, not getting, giving them a chance to have access to the information that you had access to be able to then make an informed decision as you were about whether or not just being a customer or being a customer and a team member is the right choice for them, and letting them make that choice, going through this process in the presence of that expertise, knowing you are an expert. You're just because they'll stand right there with you, whether they stand virtually through these hangouts and webinars or through the things that are recorded. You can point people out, or whether physically you do physical local meetings or you go to events. You are the expert because you have access to them. And now, over time, the more aggressively you go into action, the faster there will be an actual transfer of expertise by being in their presence and hearing what they say and hearing how they say it and hearing it over and over and over and over and over and over. Think about how many times kids just hear words again and again and again and again and again and again until they didn't just hear it once and go, okay, I'll be an accomplished orator. No, that's what your process is. You need to be in the presence of this information again and again and again and again, where you will become the accomplished expert. You're the expert today, but you'll become an accomplished expert because now you will have heard it so many times in a natural human condition and human behavioral way. You'll be able to spit it out just as well as they can. So do that. PCA, have passion in your product, be confident in your team, go into massive action, but do that with absolute visions that you can smell, taste, and touch. If initially they need to be of the negatives, why? Because you're going to run up against those walls. You're going to get those senses. You're going to hit those moments of frustration where you're like, oh, gosh, if this isn't for me, I'm going to quit. And at that moment, you need to say, yeah, but now I've just said, at least momentarily, I guess I am willing to accept having my family continue in the circumstances we're in, and my parents continue in the circumstances they're in. No, I can't tolerate that. I'm not going to quit. I'm going to keep going. Maybe some of those visions are more empowering, keeping you away from it until you've had enough success that all of a sudden, like Romy and Mark, where they hit that tipping point day when suddenly they realized, hang on a second, we were wrong. I mean, it was okay to think like that. That's natural, but we actually were incorrect. There is no limit. And their whole vision went away from that, overcoming the things that they didn't want, to now being completely open to all the possibilities of what they would like to have. And then making sure then the vision at that point converts to being able to close your eyes and see, smell, taste, and touch that next stage that you're going to. So that's it. Visions, our dreams turned into reality with goals to guide you, and be passionate, have confidence, and go into action. You're already the expert. Just let the accomplishment of expertise be a natural process, and off you go. You'll be cranking it out in no time at all. So what do you think?
I was just thinking about when you were saying that one day you just wake up and you're doing it, and that really was the way it was for me. For a little bit, I realized that if I could talk to people and be helping people like they were on somebody else's team, for some reason that was easy for me. It was easier for me to be thinking about helping somebody else than it was to be helping me. And then all of a sudden I just woke up and I was just confident, and I was just, we've talked before about being certain, and it was just an overnight kind of thing.
Sure.
So
everybody gets there at their different paces. Robert Hollis, who's a great friend and a phenomenal leader in this profession and tremendously successful, but he has coached and mentored so many, and he had great coaches and mentors. He made a statement at GoPro Recruiting Mastery when he was speaking at Eric's event 2 years ago, and it was, if what you absolutely know to be true, in every fiber of your being you know it to be true, is in fact not true, when would you want to know? And so but everybody gets to that point. So sometimes we are convinced, look, this is the way it is, it's all it's going to be, until that trigger moment. And then we can look back and say, that was never what it was, and that was never all it was ever going to be. That was just how I perceived it. And we all get to those tipping point moments. Some never get there. Some just never get enough to get the teeter-totter to tip the other way. They just turn around and they just go back. But if you get to that moment, it's different for all of us. It's amazing, because forevermore, you suddenly realize, hang on a second, there truly is no limit. Now my role is to try because you can't convince people. They got to get to that point themselves. But my role is now with tremendous passion to be able to go back and say, hang on a second, I was wrong, and I think possibly you still might be as well, in that I was wrong. It's actually, there is no limit. Because when you tell many people who are getting started, look, there's no limit to where you can go, they go, yeah, right, sure. Okay, yeah, I hear that said all the time, but that's really not the way life is. That is the way life is. But you just have to get there before you can know that. You have to get to that some point. You don't have to be there, wherever there is for you. But yeah, so it's fun. Good stuff.
Yeah, I love the way that once you do reach that tipping point, how I love that feeling of the possibility. It's like there's just nothing like it. I mean, when you were talking about, helping the team that's below you to rise up with you, I mean, that's really one of my focuses, is to my goal is to get all of us to do this together, and all of us to be successful. And I mean, I have one more rank that I'm shooting for, and I'm shooting fast because I want to settle at that rank, so then I can take my time and go back and just make sure that everybody comes up with us, and just help everybody to make their dreams come true, and to do what they want to do. I mean, that to me is super exciting. So
I'm gonna tell you, it's so fun to watch you guys. It really is. I'm watching a couple little kids who just opened up presents on Christmas. I know, it's fun. That's what I love. That's what, like, Lisa and I love with you guys. You're just fun. Just fun.
Well, I wanted to tell you one thing, Curtis. Last January, we have silver rank and above is where you start leadership in doTERRA. Silver rank is around $2,000 a month. So last January, we had 9 people on our team that were silver rank and above, including us. Just the end of this month, we have 54 people now that are silver rank and above. That includes 2 diamonds. I don't know how many golds and silvers and platinums, but there's 54 people now on our team that are $2,000 and more.
See, and here's the interesting thing.
In one year.
Yeah, and here's the interesting thing. What happens is, it's not a linear thing. You didn't increase by 45 people. What happened was you really increased by more than 5, almost 6-fold. That's what happened. In fact, what's interesting as you watch teams and companies, particularly companies like doTERRA, doTERRA is having great global growth, so doTERRA is in momentum. And when you watch teams in momentum, what will happen is you won't just have another 45 next year. You'll have the potential to have not just 6 times, but potentially 7 or 8, because you'll not only, because those 9 helped, because you had to work so hard to get it to 9, and along with them, but now it was you and the 9 working with everybody to get to 54. Now it's you and those 53 others, everybody working, and that's what will start creating that compounding growth. So that for those who are new right now, you can be a part of what might in fact not go from 50 or 54 to 320, 330 6 times. It could potentially be an 8 or 10 times. So you could be a part of going to 400, and you could be in that 400 who then in the next year is moving towards that 2, 3, 4,000. I mean, and you won't have those compounded growths at that level of strength forever, because before long you'd have the entire planet Earth. So we understand them, but still, in these early formative stages, that's where you can get that significant amount of compounding growth for a number of years, and then down below, those individuals are experiencing the same thing. So yeah, it's a really, really powerful time for you guys, and congratulations. What I'm excited about really is to see where it is a year from now, and then 2. That's where it's going to be amazing. So. Yeah, it's great stuff, Mark. Good stuff. Well, anyway, guys, I've actually got another one of these. I've got to do with the team here in 6 minutes. So I love you guys. Tons of fun. But we probably ought to just close out here, and that way I can just go grab a bottle of water. This was a good session. I think I know what I'm going to talk to you about them. Talk to them about. I'll say, I know these.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Really amazing group led by some new diamonds.
Yeah. Before I forget, I don't know if you saw the message that Lisa tagged you in. So I hope you're planning on doing the skydiving with us as our team building thing in September.
I'm going to have to arrange my schedule for it. In fact, what I may do is I actually am a skydiver, but I haven't jumped in years because I've been traveling the world and stuff. But and I'm not a real accomplished skydiver. I got about 700 to 750 jumps. But I used to years ago. I jumped with folks who had 15, 20,000 jumps. But I used to do a lot of jumping, so I love going airborne. So what I may do is, I'm sure everybody's going out to tandem, which is a great experience, magnificent experience. What I may do is, if I can find the time, I may go out and actually hit a drop zone for a month before that, and go out and get recertified, so that I'll go leap with you guys while some folks are out doing tandem. I'll go just jump out of the plane and hang out off the side and watch them, wave at them. We'll have some fun with you guys. So yeah, I'd love to get airborne. Been ground bound for too long, so yeah, that was a great idea. Let's go get some blue skies.
That is awesome. I'm so excited. Oh my God.
It's a sport, incredibly safe. It's a wonderful amount of fun, and we'll have a great time.
Awesome. Well, you have a great day. Your morning, right?
Absolutely. Yep. It's coming up on 11 o'clock in the morning.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for being here. I really appreciate it. Please share with the rest of your team so they can watch the recording if they haven't been with you, and just let them know how important this is. And they're missing out if they don't take advantage of this. So they're lost.
There you go. All right, guys. Listen, go have a great evening, and we'll see you guys again in the next few weeks.
All right.
All right. See you, Curtis.
Bye.
All right. Yeah. Bye-bye.